Hello everybody, and welcome to News and Views for January the 11th, 2024. I think the news of the moment is probably that wintry conditions have finally arrived in Manitoba. They're expected to be in a deep freeze for quite a few days in a row now, and there are some dangerous driving conditions out there. Roads are not terrific, will probably continue to not be terrific in a lot of areas, so just be careful out there. And as well, a lot of events are being canceled or postponed. So before you head out, check in with your destination just to make sure that you need to be out there. All right, so on the show today, we have two items. First of all, we head up to Dauphin. Following the tragic car collision down on Highway 1 and Highway 5 last summer, the province launched an investigation into the area, just a review of all the conditions. And now, just this week, they have released that report. They held a press conference up in Dauphin to release that information, to offer their top 3 suggestions for what changes need to be made at that intersection. And they also talked with the families of the victims and the survivors of the crash about a potential memorial. So we have some excerpts from that press conference as the highlights of the conference on the show here today. We also head back into Neepawa. We have hockey highlights. This is from the Titans versus OCN game from this last Sunday on the 7th. The Titans have 6 home games in a row to start off the year. So this is sort of smack dab in the middle of them right now. So definitely keep a watch on the station for those games, past and upcoming as well. If you have anything that's happening, any information you'd like us to have as well, please do get in touch. Email address is nactv@wcgwave.ca, or you can phone us 204-476-2639. Thanks and enjoy the show. June 15th, 2023 was the date of the deadliest crash in Manitoba's history. A collision between a senior's bus trip and a semi-trailer in the intersection of Highway 5 and the Trans-Canada Highway just outside of Carberry. On January 8th, 2024, the province released their safety report on the intersection and surrounding area. To be clear, this is a detailed report on the intersection itself and makes several short-term and medium-term safety recommendations. This is not a report on that specific accident, which is still under investigation by the RCMP. Premier Wab Kinew and Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure Lisa Naylor, alongside other provincial and regional representatives, held a press conference in Dauphin to release the report, outline the top 3 recommended options, and announce $12 million in provincial funding to improve the intersection following a functional design process. Prior to the press conference, they met with the families of the victims and survivors of the crash to release the information to them first and to offer provincial support, both logistical and monetary, to whatever memorial that they and the community decide is appropriate. While the crash that was what initiated this safety review, the intersection had been a problem site for much longer than that. An independent panel of engineers looked at data going back over 10 years, as well as current conditions and traffic patterns at the intersection, and further data from across the country to come up with their report and recommendations. The 3 recommendations are a roundabout, a widened median, and a restricted crossing U-turn, or R-cut, which would force approaching traffic on Highway 5 to make a right turn to merge into traffic, and then make a U-turn from a dedicated lane further on to reverse direction to rejoin Highway 5, which would eliminate the direct crossing. Whatever choice they make could provide a model for other locations across the province. While many people have been calling for a traffic light to be installed at that intersection, data showed that a traffic light at that particular location, with long stretches of uninterrupted highway on either side, would more likely cause more accidents. Another popular suggestion, a full interchange, is still a possibility for the long term, 20 to 25 years, but current traffic volumes do not support it at this time. The next step is a 6 to 9 month functional design process, which includes several public and industry consultations. They expect to start the actual build in late 2025 to be completed in 2026.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here in Dauphin today. My name is Ron Kostitian. I am the Minister of Agriculture and the MLA for Dauphin. Dauphin is on Treaty 2 territory and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, Dene people, and the homeland of the Manitoba Métis Federation. I am joined today with Premier Wab Kinew and the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, Lisa Naylor. I'm also joined by a number of people that have relatives that were involved in the accident, and I welcome them as well. As we all know, on June 15, 2023, a tragic collision occurred at the intersection of Highway 1 and 5, which has affected so many of us in this province. Following the incident, Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure undertook a road safety review of the intersection, and today we are releasing it to the public. We are committed to making future actions to ensure Manitoba roads are safer for everyone, as road safety is a top priority of our government. To speak more on this, I will turn it over to Premier Kinew and then Minister Naylor following their remarks, and we will take questions if you may have. So now I invite our Premier, Mr. Wab Kinew, to speak. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for joining us today. This is a difficult topic for all of us, but more so for the family members of those we lost in this terrible tragedy, and of course for the survivors and for the first responders who were there on the scene, delivering care and doing their best to respond to a very difficult moment in our province's history. Our team is here today to respond in two ways. One, to indicate to the people of Manitoba that we are going to do the safest thing when it comes to the future of this intersection. And two, to tell the families, the survivors, the people of Dauphin and Carberry that as you move forward to memorialize and commemorate the people that we lost and to remember this terrible tragedy, we will be there to support you, and we will help find the resources, and we will deliver the funding to ensure that an appropriate memorial here in Dauphin, as well as a fitting tribute at the site near Carberry, will be a part of Manitoba's future. Earlier today, Ministers Kostitian, Naylor, and myself, along with our political and technical staff, had the honor to sit down with the family members of folks that we lost in this province in this terrible, tragic accident. We were also joined by folks who survived and who had family members survive this tragic incident. Of course, we also were honored to be joined by first responders and local leaders in both Dauphin and Carberry. And so I want to acknowledge all of these people, first and foremost, in the generosity of their spirit to come and sit with us today and to relive some very difficult times that they've been through. And I want to thank the first responders who had to do their important work in a situation that many of us can only imagine. And I know that that's something that they will continue to carry with them, and we've got your backs as you work through that. To the family members and to the survivors, I want to acknowledge that we cannot make things right or make you whole, but we are going to work our hardest to ensure that something like this does not happen again. And we are also going to work hard to ensure that we can be there to help you on your healing journey. And so our team is here today to share information that has been the result of work underway since the immediate aftermath of this terrible tragedy. And this process has delivered 3 options for this intersection at Highways 1 and 5 for the future. it is our commitment that we are going to make the safest possible scenario for this intersection going forward. We've leaned on the expertise of engineers, folks in the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, and have really used data and evidence to guide the narrowing down of all the options that were on the table down to these 3 scenarios. And now we're asking for your help from people in Carberry, in Dauphin, and across Manitoba. We want to make our Manitoba highway network safer. And so we're asking for your input and your advice as we try to choose between these 3 different scenarios and visions for the future of this intersection. And at the end of that process, we intend to make sure that we are constructing the safest possible future vision for that intersection. So this is a very difficult moment that occurred in our province last year, and today is also a difficult time for many people. And it's our commitment, again, that we are going to take the steps necessary to try and ensure that things like this don't happen in the future, that the entirety of our highway network in Manitoba is made safer, and that we remember and acknowledge those folks that we lost and those folks who were part of the accident who were honored to be able to shake hands with today. So we have a lot more detail and a lot more technical information that we can dive into, but I wanted to begin with these opening comments of thanks for the local leaders who have been stepping up time and time again, thanks of gratitude for the first responders who were there first on the scene and who continue to carry this incident with them, and of course, with the greatest humility, our thoughts, prayers, and importantly, action that we are committed to for those that we've lost and for the survivors. So at this time, I'll invite Minister Lisa Naylor, who is Manitoba's Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, to share some comments.
Thank you, Premier. So my name is Lisa Naylor. I'm the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, as well as Consumer Protection and Government Services. I want to begin by echoing the Premier's comments and thanking the families and community members who took the time to meet with us earlier today, and to acknowledge those joining us online who could not be here in person. Over the past 6 months, an independent panel of engineers has studied potential improvements to this intersection, and they recently provided provided their final report to our government. Today, we're releasing the report as well as an executive summary in full to the public. Improvements in this intersection will take place in several stages. Immediate upgrades have already been completed, including installation of new important intersection signs and additional speed limit signs, refreshed pavement markings, and rumble strips on Highway 5. Some of the recommendations made in the report can be done quite simply, and some have already been completed, like the ones I mentioned. Making the upcoming intersection more obvious to drivers through specialized signage, lighting, or more extensive pavement paint are other examples. The report also outlines 3 medium-term options, and by medium-term, I'm talking about a solution that would be appropriate for this intersection from 20 to 25 years from now, for major safety improvements. And these 3 options are considered the safest options. These recommendations will form the basis of the upcoming feasibility study. The first option could be a roundabout. This option does need careful consideration and further study due to the location of the intersection. Although the study states that in lower speed areas they are very safe, roundabouts may not be the most feasible option on the Trans-Canada. In high-speed, rural, isolated intersections such as PTH 1 and 5, vehicle approach speeds would have to be reduced, potentially creating other risks. The next option is median widening. The median is currently quite narrow for large buses and trucks, which were much shorter when these highways were originally built. And therefore, a wider median provides drivers with the space to stop and to be able to take care when crossing the highway. And the third option is called an R-cut. So that's R-cut, a restricted crossing U-turn. R-cuts are a new feature to Manitoba, but they're used in many other jurisdictions, particularly in the U.S., and they've been shown to reduce potential conflict points and provide drivers with sufficient space and time to do safe movement across and through intersections. Saskatchewan has just installed an R-cut near Saskatoon, so we are starting to see these come into communities such as this. As the Premier has indicated, our government is committed to determining which of these options will best increase safety for Manitobans at the Highway 1 and 5 intersection. And we will continue to work closely with experts in the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure to make this decision. We'll also be looking for feedback from Manitobans as part of the next stage of planning, which is the functional design process. This project will be tendered very soon, and a normal part of that process is community town halls and other consultative opportunities. I'm very happy to announce today that our government will be investing $12 million into the improvements at Highway 1 and 5. This number is based on current estimated costs, which have been determined by departmental experts. Extending enhancing the safety of highways extends beyond Highway 1 and 5. Manitobans use our highways every single day, and as the government, it is our responsibility to make sure they are as safe as possible. We are taking the lessons learned from this report and applying them to other locations across the province. In reviewing this intersection, the department has begun embedding a safe systems approach to highway renewal and planning, and that will certainly be our way forward in this province. This approach aims to create a more forgiving road system, meaning that the system accepts that people make mistakes and are vulnerable, so road systems are created to prevent tragedies. The first step is to create a road safety response team, a permanent safety unit within the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, which will be tasked with reviewing Manitoba's highway network and identifying potential safety improvements across the province. The safety unit will be made up of many of the same experts in the department who worked on the safety strategy for the Highway 1 and 5 intersection. I want to close by taking a moment to thank all of those hardworking public servants and also the external engineers who wrote the report for us, for all the work that they've done and will continue to do to ensure our highways are safe and accessible for all Manitobans. We do have some of our department engineers and leadership here today for any technical questions that may come. And now the Premier and I are happy to take any questions that you may have.
Mr. Premier, I guess how quickly can we start to see change actually happen on this intersection at this intersection?
Okay, I'll take that question. The RFP is going out in the next few weeks, which means that the functional design process will begin soon after that. That process, the functional design piece would be expected to take about 6 to 9 months. That does include at least 3 consultation steps with the community, as well as other users of the highway, such as Manitoba Trucking Association. From there, once the community has had the opportunity to give feedbacks on the different design processes and options, then it goes to the more detailed design process. So we would be looking at starting the actual building of whatever changes happen in that intersection starting probably around the end of 2025 and with completion in 2026.
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat the question because we have folks monitoring on Zoom and they can't hear the room sound. So the question was about an interchange and whether we'll consider it. So the quick answer is yes, we are considering it. There will be an interchange at this location in the future. The engineers tell us that that's probably in the 20 to 25 year timeline in terms of when that makes sense. We can provide some background in terms of the thought process that gets us here. First and foremost, we're going to do the safest thing for this intersection going forward into the future. And for the reporters in the room, I'll draw your attention to the executive summary of the report. This is about a 170-page document that we shared today. The engineers were on site at the accident. They monitored the speed of drivers on the Trans-Canada, on Highway 5. They monitored how many people stop, how many people roll through the intersection, how many people run the stop sign. They took a look at all the different history that we have on record for this, and they conducted a very sophisticated modeling for this scenario. If you look at what the safest option is according to the engineer modeling in that document, the roundabout is actually safer than the interchange model. The R-cut model is comparable to both the interchange and the roundabout in terms of level of safety. But the question for you, the average person following along on this issue, is putting a roundabout on the Trans-Canada the safest thing that we could do going forward here? Is bringing in a new traffic feature like an R-cut or an interchange the safest thing that we can do here? And that's why we need this public consultation, because us as the government shouldn't be making this decision behind closed doors without hearing from you. And so that's why we want to hear from the ag industry, the trucking industry, folks in Carberry, people affected here in Dauphin, highway users from across the province, to tell us what you think the best option is here going forward. So we're listening to the advice of experts, and as a result of that, we've narrowed this down to the three proposals that Minister Naylor has outlined here: roundabout, median widening, and the R-cut model. And these are the safest options before us given the current traffic volume on the site. And now we want your input in determining which of these is the best fit for our highways here in Manitoba going forward. So I want to make clear that our government is not going to lead this. We want, out of respect and out of reverence for the folks who have been the most impacted by this tragedy, we want them to take the lead on it. And so I'll leave it to those groups to share publicly the information when they're prepared to do so. But I can tell you that folks in Dauphin are in the process of developing a very moving memorial for the folks that we lost and to honor the survivors as well. And so our commitment as a government is that we're going to make sure that that thing can be built. And we're going to make sure that we show up in an appropriate way to help people work through the healing process and observe and commemorate along the way. Yes, we will be there. Yeah. If you lost a loved one, or if you yourself went through this terrible tragedy, I think our government owes it to you to tell you first about what the next steps are going to be. Many of us can only imagine what took place on that day, and it's a priority for us to be here in Dauphin to share this message with some of the most impacted people first. And I think that we all know that as we do the public consultation process, we'll be in Carberry many times for that. We'll be in the RM. We'll be carrying out a public consultation process that includes all Manitobans. But it seems appropriate and fitting that at the start, we're here in Dauphin. The community and the hub for a region, the parkland, that was so tragically impacted on that day last year. And I would just want to acknowledge that the families and survivors and local leaders and first responders have been very generous with us. And so we want to honor their willingness to participate in this process, and any of the mistakes or shortcomings along the way are on us. They have been exemplary in their conduct.
Premier, can you share what the
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Titans Hockey here on NACTV. Along the sideboards, Neepawa, Gwynison, up with it. Gwynison carrying it through neutral ice on his own. Backhand, Scott, rebound. Oh, and McLeod. I think it was Taconic. I think if he would have went to the net, would have had a golden opportunity. Up ice, Kasprick. Oh, can't relay it on. Benson does. Picked up. Here comes... Whoa, off the post on a great shot from Hayden Stocks. That'll go all the way through to the blue line, but played back down low. Neepawa, Hartley on the forecheck. Puck tied up in the corner. Haggerty chips it off the sideboard. Shot by Alexander. Off the stick. In the corner, comes out and tipped in the short side. I believe it was Mr. Hartley getting the Titans on the scoreboard. Blizzard along the end boards. Played to the right side. It'll come through now. Up the left wing. Here's a quasi break. Edwards shot. Penalty. They score. De La Salle. On a good rush by the Blizzard. And De La Salle doing what you're supposed to do. Go to the net. Zagari gives it off. McTeal shot saved. Rebound. McNeil again. Sharp angle. Looking for the shot. Played down low. Zagari forced back. He'll get it back to the point. Cross ice. Shot. Knocked down. Oh, another penalty coming up. Back down low to Suprian. Now back to the point. Blue line. Cross ice. Zagari controls. Plays it in the middle. Shot! And it's deflected. And on the power play, I believe it was maybe Suprian that made the, or it looks like Bouvier is going to lead the possession over to the bench. So maybe he took the initial shot. Rebound into the corner. Chaconic chips it up the boards, but that's cut off. Blizzard centering pass. Oh, and all alone. I believe that was Bouvier. Couldn't pick up. Another shot towards the net. Comes back to the point. Kept in. Blizzard. I think they've come out with the game plan of put the puck to the net. Hamming being hounded by Leahy. But the Blizzard. Nice play to reverse. And McNeil plays it into the middle. Blizzard into the offensive zone. Centering pass. Rebound. Shot. Oh, how did Cookett make that save? And it is McNeil. I'm sure he's going, how did I miss that? McLeod just tips it into the offensive zone. Goes on the change. Neepawa. Oh, loose puck turned over. Gwynison shot. And it's deflected into the corner by Morin. Into the Neepawa zone. Down low. McNeil taken down. Circling shot on net. Cookett! Oh, what a save. I can see it from this end of the ice behind him. And he twisted and made a heck of a save. Face-off set to go in the Titan zone. Puck tied up. Now comes to Hartley. Hartley in the middle. On to Alexander. Alexander makes a move. Trying to drain the zone. Loose puck! Oh, it was still loose, but finally covered up on a good individual effort by Alexander to get it to the net. But Morin, figuratively speaking, standing tall. Again, off the draw to the sideboards. Puck back to the point. Cross ice. Benson steps forward. Shot off the crossbar! The second crossbar for the Titans tonight. McNeil into the offensive zone. McNeil taken down. Puck back to the blue line. Kept in by the Blizzard. Another shot through traffic. I think that was knocked down with a high stick, but it's called a goal. As that was tipped. A high shot towards Cookett, tipped down and in. Along the end boards, rimmed around to the right side. Good job by Weisgarber to jump down there, block it. Try to get it out front. Oh, one-timer! Oh, no! As it goes right over to Skrupa. But again, Morin making the dynamic save. Behind the net, Poirier with some time. Nice job to hesitate, gain some open ice. Now left side pass. Nice tip by Hartley on to Thompson. Thompson, sharp angle. They score! On the tip, out front. I think it's going to be Kasperk. I don't know if, and it is Kasperk leading the way out of the pack. So a beautiful rush pass combination. Hartley, Thompson, and Kasperk finishing it off. Oh, a nice little pass there to Poirier, right side. Kasperk. His pass gets knocked down, but Poirier there. Centering pass! Where is it? Bouncing, puck still loose. Control by Neepawa. Poirier takes it back towards the blue line. Drops it off. Shot doesn't make it through. Rebound! Loose puck. Neepawa can't find it. Back to the blue line. Kept in by Larkins. Larkins tried to set up Kasperk. That goes by, and now the Blizzard able to take the pressure off. Larkins ties up Zagari. He'll get it back to the point, though. Shot deflects off the end boards. It's behind him! Oh, my goodness! Cookett with Suprian right there. The puck was lying between his pads. Blizzard get it to the blue line, but not out. Poirier, good effort to keep it in. Sideboard, Stocks. Can't get it out front. Loose puck. Here come the Blizzard. A wide open net for Hamming. And Gwinison with what I would call a good penalty.
So the Blizzard were awarded a goal. I believe that's how it works when the net is empty instead of a penalty shot.
Oh, you know what, Jeremy? I honestly did not know that. All I can say is the puck didn't go in the net, but if that's the way it works, that's pretty disappointing for the Titans. This would be, I think, a bit of a hard pill for the Titans to swallow tonight.